afternoon, evening, or whenever the heck you're listening to this. Welcome back to Nerdin' Out. My name is Evan.
And I'm Nathaniel. So before we get to our main topic, we're going to go over news. So Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct Mini is what they call it.
And what is that? I've not heard of that.
So basically Nintendo, they give most of their announcements through Nintendo Directs, which are video presentations that they put online. Right. So they stream them and they have all their game announcements. Usually they're formatted with like skits and stuff, but this one was just video of games with voice. So this one was like a smaller one, 15 minutes. They announced a lot. It was only focused on Switch, Nintendo Switch. So they announced a Mario Tennis game for Switch. They announced a new Kirby game. Yeah. So they announced like a lot of, I feel like, smaller games, not any like really hard hitters, but they also announced several ports of Wii U games, like Zelda, or it's called Hyrule Warriors. It has like all the DLC of the one that came out. It's basically a Dynasty Warriors, but Zelda skins, I guess, is the best way to put it. They also are going to release Dark Souls Remastered.
Yeah, this week was kind of like the week for remastering, because I heard they're remastering Dark Souls. They're remastering Assassin's Creed Rogue, and what I forgot to put in the notes, they're remastering Shadow of the Colossus.
Right, for PS4. This one is like a little more than a remaster. I would say it's more of a remake. And I don't know which one Dark Souls falls under. I mean, it's called remaster, but Shadow of the Colossus, they're like actually redoing the assets.
Yeah, I've seen gameplay of it. It looks really, really good, considering like how old the game is. It was a PS2 game that came out in like 2006.
I want to say that's right, around that time.
Yeah, and what's funny is that all the other games that are being remastered, like Rogue and Dark Souls, they came out for kind of next gen consoles already. Like Rogue came out for Xbox 360.
Right.
That was like
the previous gen, right?
Yeah, the previous gen. That was like the game. Assassin's Creed Unity came out at the same time, but that was only for PS4 and Xbox One.
So they're like, 360 people.
360 people need an Assassin's Creed game. Here you go. And if you play to the end of Rogue, it actually ties into Unity.
So you kind of need to have both consoles to get the full picture.
Not really. You don't need to play both to understand. It's just a nice little tie-in at the end.
Got it.
To kind of be like, hey, yeah, see, like we're totally including you in this world that we're not including you in. Yeah, so they remastered that, which basically is just the same game but in 4K.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like remasters are really easy cash-ins, but at the same time, they are good in the sense that some people might not have played them and they get to play them now.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing where they should be backwards compatible, but they're not. Yeah, and then they also have Donkey Kong on Nintendo Switch, Tropical Freeze, which is basically just an upscaled version of it with an added character. Right. But like you said, this is very much a remaster week. Just like slap on higher graphics on it, and it's just that's released.
Run it through a 4K filter, and we have a new game that you can pay $50 for.
Yeah, it's full price, and it's totally worth it because 4K.
Because 4K looks so good. Oh gosh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So what have we been doing with our lives?
Well,
what have we been entertaining ourselves with?
What have I been entertaining myself with? Well, this week, you've heard of the game Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, I've played 10 hours of it back in the day.
Yeah, I played a bit of it. Yeah, I spent a fraction of my high school life. I played it like a really long time ago, back when I had the 360, an Xbox 360.
Yeah, that's right. It came out on that.
Yeah, I had it for the Xbox 360, and I played the crap out of it. But then recently, during the holiday season, they had a lot of sales on it, and I found it with a bundle with a bunch of DLC packs for like $7.99. And I was like, I'm not gonna not take that. Are you freaking kidding me? So I played it a lot in high school, or Dragon Age Inquisition. Like I played it a lot. Like back in like 2014, I played it a lot. So now like I just kind of gotten back into it and like trying out different. Basically, what the game is, or what this game is, it's a very like scaled down version of D&D. If anyone knows what D&D is, it's like a computerized version where it's an RPG, and there's numbers, stats, weapons, and armor with like better AC points and like hit points. There's like a big story element. There's characters.
Elves, because of course there are.
Yeah, because it's in this fantasy world. Because clearly with the name Dragon Age, it's gonna be in like and there's dwarves and elves.
Very Tolkien-esque.
Yeah, so you can choose a race, and there's classes like rogues, warriors, mage, and stuff like that. Then there's like subclasses where you can learn like Templar skill set, or like a dragon slayer kind of skill set like on top of it. So there's a lot of really cool things where you fight like demons and giants and dragons.
You close
and
like
stuff
these dimensional rifts
into
tears or something.
You close the breach.
There you go,
the breach, and there are these rifts that connect to like the demon world, or the Fade is what it's called.
Right.
And like demons keep like spilling out of them, and you have to save the world basically. So it's like really fun, and all the characters are really endearing. You can really kind of like lose yourself in the game, and that's a lot of fun. So
yeah, sounds really cool. I kind of wish I stuck with it a little bit more.
I went really in deep with that. I didn't mean for that to be a full review, but
but get it when it's on sale.
Yes, exactly.
That's basically what you're saying.
Always.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy has a fighting game that's coming out, and they have a beta. Yeah, it's called Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. So it has a nonsense title, but it's actually pretty fun. It's I feel like way different than other fighters. Yeah. It's this weird 3D kind of like Dragon Ball Z space where you like fly towards each other and do different things. It's like 3v3 or 1v1 characters. But it's like really complicated to me, and I'm having a hard time figuring it out. As soon as I think I understand what's going on, I don't know what's happening. But it's pretty fun. The graphics are pretty good. You can play it until like the 21st or something. It's an open beta, so for anyone who's interested in that. You watched any movies this week?
I have. I watched Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
That's the sequel, right?
Yeah, it's the sequel.
How was it?
It was good. I enjoyed it without going into a really thorough review like I did with my first point. Yeah, it's a good movie. It's fun. It's definitely just it's kind of like the first one, just kind of like a goofy spy movie, and
like over the top.
Not goofy. I wouldn't say goofy. It's more of a kind of like a hard action comedy, and it takes a lot of like weird political stances that I wasn't expecting. It's like the war on drugs, and I feel like it was making a lot of like political statements, kind of like specifically towards like America, and like the president in this movie, the American president in this movie is kind of a douche.
Gotcha.
And I feel like they kind of did that on purpose, and he has like a southern accent. He seems like he'd be kind of a bigot.
Do you think it added to the movie, or was it just like a throwaway type thing?
I mean, it does add to the movie because he becomes like a catalyst for like how things are going to turn out, kind of thing.
Okay.
But he's this character that goes to extremes that I feel like a lot of people feel like another person in high power might go to if something like that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And
what do you score it? Like, you've given us your review.
What would you score it? Like
five,
like out of 5, I would give it like a 3.5.
So pretty good.
Yeah, solid. Not great, but it had its funny moments where I laughed out loud, and I thought, okay, that's funny, but
yeah,
it wasn't.
For me, I have unfortunately gotten back into anime.
Oh no!
So I finished off Attack on Titan season 2 finally.
Yeah.
That was great. Not as impactful as the first season just because it's half the length. And the first time you see Attack on Titan is just very impactful. It's ridiculous and it's mind-blowing a little bit.
Yeah, because it introduces you to this new terrifying world of like these giant creatures that eat people, and then
this next season is just more of that, but it is more complex and there are some great plot twists.
I feel like it answers more questions that it leaves you with from the first season.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, you see like these different types of Titans, and you see these people are turning into Titans, and you're like, I'm so confused. This makes no sense. And then they're like, they go into it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm almost done with One Punch Man. It's like a parody off of superheroes where it's really funny.
Yeah,
anyway, I won't go too much into it.
It's a parody of like Shonen Jump, Shonen fighting anime.
Yeah. And then there's this new series on Amazon Video. It's trying to be the Black Mirror of Amazon. It's called Electric Dreams. I feel like it's only halfway advertised because it's Amazon Video and because...
And no one uses
Amazon
Video.
Like Bryan Cranston and other people are actually in it.
Wow, really?
Yeah. They're 10 standalone episodes. It's very Black Mirror in like they're standalone episodes that each have their own actors and ideas, but it's set in the further future. But it's
like how far?
I want to say like some of them, the way that it's just presented seems like 100 years in the future and stuff like that, rather than just the near future. Because they have like flying cars and stuff like that.
So it's not like 2020 or 2021. It's
no,
like...
but it's I saw the first episode. I went into it very skeptical because I just thought this is just a Black Mirror ripoff. They're just like trying to cash in on this idea, but it was actually really good. Less dark, but it was still it's its own thing. Yeah. Anyway, they have 10 episodes, but Amazon Video, who watches that, right?
Yeah.
No, Netflix is king.
So we want to move into our main topic now, I suppose?
We could move into our main topic. So, I mean, we got a lot to cover.
That's true. So it's probably good that we have more time to talk about this now. But what we're doing for this episode, because we've kept it such a mystery up to this point, whatever, is our 2017 highlights. I know we're kind of late on this. I feel like this one should have been the first one of the year.
It's only halfway through January. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, it's only... I know. Yeah, exactly. It's only halfway through. So we're gonna cover three categories and just kind of keep it simple. There are highlights, and if there's something that we talk about that you might find interesting, go ahead and look it up and see for yourself if you haven't heard of whatever we're about to talk about. And hopefully you'll find something new to enjoy from this. Hopefully.
Yeah, and they're going to be things that we discovered or like first started consuming in 2017. The ones on my list, I believe, all came out in 2017. Almost all of yours did as well.
Yeah.
You have like one or two in there that didn't, but
yeah,
we're gonna try not to go into too much depth, not give any spoilers.
Yeah.
And any of these different... So our categories are movies, shows, and video games.
Yes.
We kept it simple. We have a few in each category, and we're just kind of we're going to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Hopefully pretty quickly. We might linger on some of them a little bit, knowing
us. We like to ramble, but... So we'll start off with the movie category and just kind of movies in general. What were some of the highlights for you in the film industry, Nathaniel?
So I think the first film that really hit me hard this year was Logan.
Yeah,
I had to check to see if
I love that movie too, by the way.
Yeah,
I figured you were gonna talk about it, so that's why I didn't list it. So I let you have that one.
Yeah, I had to check if it came out in 2017 because it felt like so long ago. But I think, for me personally, that is the best superhero movie that I've watched. It's very different, and I almost feel like it's a disservice to call it a superhero movie because it breaks like a lot of the rules from the genre. But I mean, it's also rated R and it's like very just raw. But it was really moving, and I think it's Hugh Jackman's last Wolverine movie.
Yeah, he's not going to be Wolverine.
Yeah, so it was a great send off for Hugh Jackman. It was just really, really good. I recommend it to anyone who likes superhero movies or just movies in general.
I cried.
I cried too. I will admit that.
Okay, I have to put this out there for a second.
Go ahead.
I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, or I was like on the phone with her, and she thought it was funny how like it seems like every episode I end up talking about her, or I say something about her.
Girlfriends are kind of important, right?
Yeah, I mean she means a lot to me, but whatever. But it just so happens the story that I'm about to tell about this movie, she happened to be in it, so it's not like I'm trying to talk about her, but
we understand.
But I don't mind talking about her. I took her to see Logan, and I was crying, but she wasn't, just because she wasn't that like emotionally attached to the character, which I get. I wasn't expecting her to, and she was like, I just like it's sad. I don't feel like I'm not emotionally attached to like superhero movies as much. I'm like, that makes sense. I'm not offended that you're not crying at it, but I was crying, and I was kind of like, don't look at me, like I need a second.
My makeup's running. But we had like 10 years with this character, and it's just like Hugh Jackman finally just hangs up, I don't know what his claws. And it's just, it was just
hangs up his mutton chops.
It was just really emotional. It was a great movie. What is your first movie on your list?
First movie for me was Spider-Man: Homecoming. That was the first one on my list that really stuck out to me because one, it's like the first movie Spider-Man being back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This was, I think, what you mentioned before, like in the last episode where you talked about how like this is like they did Peter Parker right. You know, it's like he's this nerdy, awkward kid.
Definitely.
And they really did the whole teenager in high school aspect justice. Like when I watched that, I thought, well, a lot of times, like, yeah, I either knew someone like that in high school or that was me in high school. You know what I mean? And it really connected on a lot of levels, and just kind of like, and then just the action and the character development between, or the character arc between him, Peter Parker, and Tony Stark was really good. And he kind of became this kind of like surrogate father, almost kind of like an uncle kind of figure to him. I never really saw Tony Stark as a father. I saw him more as an uncle to Peter, which is kind of weird because Uncle Ben died, so I feel like that's kind of where that maybe came from.
Yeah.
Because it didn't seem like he was ever trying to be his dad. It just seemed he was trying to give him like helpful life advice.
Which is cool to see Tony Stark get to that point, like mature to the point where he's able to do that.
Absolutely. You go back 8 years, he's not ready to take that step at all.
No, he's still just a jerk playboy.
Exactly. So what's next on your list?
I would say Coco. It's by Pixar. We talked about this, well, I talked about it a little bit before, but it's just a really emotional, fun, even though it follows a lot of Hollywood's just like standard formula, it still breaks away enough times and just works really well.
I heard the twists in it are like
crazy. It's like surprisingly good twists in it, but also it carries a lot of emotional weight, and when you figure out why the movie's named Coco and all that, it's just great. I recommend this to everyone, honestly.
The next one for me would be Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Yeah. This one's also my list, but I'll let you cover it.
Okay. Thank you. So
you may have this one.
Podcast chivalry. It didn't live up to the hype 100% to completion, but it definitely was entertaining, and I had a fun time watching the movie. It definitely had parts I didn't like and some parts that I think, okay, if they did this differently, it would be better. Every movie's going to be like that. But there are so many things that they did right where they could have done it wrong. And that's what I really liked about the movie, and I feel like that ultimately made it stand out and made it really good for me, was that I'm not going to go into too many spoiler details about it, but I
mean, you could go back to our previous podcast where we give all the spoilers anyway.
There's a lot of things in it that, like I said, if they had done one specific thing differently, it could have ruined it. It could have ruined it. You know what I mean? But
Definitely.
they didn't. And so people will disagree and say that the way that they treated the characters weren't great. I don't know. I feel like for some of the characters, I could take them or leave them. Some characters were really great, and then there are some moments where I thought, no, that's ridiculous. That should never happen. Are you dumb?
But in general,
it was an enjoyable movie, and I thought it was fun. But I could have lived without the casino scene. That's all I'm saying.
Casino scene, you can go die. So the last movie on my list is Blade Runner 2049. So that is a very long movie. It's 3 hours.
What?
Really long. This film is not for everyone, and it drags a lot, but I feel like it's very purposeful dragging. It's very atmospheric. It's incredibly artistic. It is very, again, raw and just, it's kind of hard to describe, but basically this film, I would say, had almost no flaws, except for the fact that it might not have connected as emotionally as it could have, maybe.
Interesting.
I feel like it's cinematography perfection, and just the way it was crafted, I don't really have any critiques of this film. It was just masterfully made and acted, and everything about it.
Why you got to do that? Now I have to go watch this now.
You need to watch this film. is basically what I'm saying. But it's definitely not for everyone. Some people won't get it. Some people might be bored. Like, it literally had shots on people's faces for 15 seconds. And you think that wouldn't work, but it just had these really subtle emotional changes in the faces that actually tell the story. And I was really surprised.
The thing is, though, that's what I wish movies would do more, is show, not tell. So that seems like that's something that I would enjoy. So now I got to see this now.
I think it's definitely up there in film. And I haven't seen a ridiculous amount of movies, but it was just really well done.
Bear in mind, we're not experts on this, at all.
Evan's more of a film buff than I am, but
I mean, I've gone to school for it a little bit, but that doesn't warrant.
You've seen a lot of movies too, so
that's true too.
A lot,
but I'm not any kind of real authority on this. But yeah, it's still okay. That sounds interesting. Now I'm really.
I believe it's out, so you should definitely go watch it.
Yeah, I might. Okay, last one for me, Wonder Woman. DC's highlight of the year. And
I would agree.
They knocked it out of the park with Wonder Woman. She was a great character. Her story was really great, and they really did her character justice. And she...
Justice League.
Kill me. I did not intend for that pun.
I know you didn't.
I'm so glad you were there to catch that too. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. So she killed it. It was great. The story was great, and kind of dragged at the end, but every movie kind of has their low point, I guess. And I think...
Except for Blade Runner 2049, you're a beautiful, perfect movie. I'm just kidding. I'm sure it has flaws.
There's no movie without sin. Yeah, so I think I think Wonder Woman, it might be right behind Logan, but I think might be my favorite movie of 2017, Wonder Woman. It's a close, I think it's about a 3-way tie between Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, and Logan. It's a close tie. It's a close between those three. Shocker, they're all
superhero movies,
comic book movies. Surprise, surprise. But they all did, like, each one of those movies did such a good job of staying true to the characters and like doing what the character, and all that stuff. So yeah, those three would definitely be my top 3 movies.
Yeah, despite the oversaturation of superhero movies, for the most part, I feel like they're actually pretty high quality. So I'm glad it's not just a bunch of awful superhero comic book movies that are just not good.
Yeah, it's not all copy and paste.
Right.
Yeah.
So TV shows. What TV shows did you really enjoy from this year?
I really
Last
year. I was going to say. Last year, Stranger Things 2, Season 2. We both watched that.
Yes, and we reviewed it in our second episode, so let's not talk about it too much.
No, I was going to say, and you enjoyed that more, so why don't you're a bigger fan of Stranger Things, so why don't you take this one?
Sure, I'll try to keep this brief because I could go on for probably hours.
Oh, good.
So Stranger Things 2...
Our second episode almost went on for hours.
Almost, and you could go listen to that and hear us just rant about it and me maybe talk too much about it. But anyway, Stranger Things 2 summarized was everything I wanted and didn't know I wanted from Stranger Things Season 1. Like, the next part of it, I felt Stranger Things 1 was almost perfect, like in terms of my enjoyment of it and the way it was made. And then we got Season 2, or Stranger Things 2, which just pushed everything up 5 notches, I feel like. It was so good and enjoyable. Yeah, it's just everything I wanted, or everything I would like in TV. Wow. It just hits all those points for me.
I definitely feel similar. It's a great series, and the directors did such a great job with the characters, and just kind of took that natural next step. It didn't. Nothing in the characters' relationships felt forced. Everything kind of felt like, like this is a natural direction that this relationship would take between these two characters.
It was very character focused.
And they did a really good job with it. It was kind of like the whole Jaws thing with Steven Spielberg, and how keeping the monster revealed kind of thing. Less is more. Like, they definitely did a good job with that. And whenever you did see, the monster from Stranger Things, it definitely had more weight because you didn't see it all the time.
Definitely.
So I thought Stranger Things 2 was definitely, it didn't fall into the sequelitis disease where it tried to one up itself and it kind of flops. It one up itself, and they tried to one up themselves, and they succeeded.
I agree with that. We both talked about Stranger Things 2, but you can take the next show.
I've been watching Supernatural season 13. It started in, I think, September or maybe before that.
Also, it's still going.
It's still going. I took a holiday break.
Okay.
So it's coming back it's coming back next week, I think. If you don't know what Supernatural is, it follows the Winchester brothers, Sam and Dean, who are monster hunters.
This is a pretty old show, by the way.
Yeah, it started back in like 2006.
Something like that.
It's like you said, it's season 13. It's been going on for a while. The actors, Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, they're both great actors. What they've done with the characters and what the directors have done with the characters, and just like how they've developed, are really great. And I kind of like Nathaniel with Stranger Things. I could probably talk about the show for hours. So all I will say is that all 12 full seasons are on Netflix. Go binge.
I might have to do that. You know what? I don't need to work. I'll just watch Supernatural.
I don't need a social life.
I don't need a social life either. I just need Supernatural. No, but Supernatural's fantastic.
So what other shows have you been into, Senor? Or what were your highlights?
Yeah, so I have 2 other ones on my list. First, I'll go with 13 Reasons Why. This show was almost not entertaining, and I feel like that's not the point of the show. It was really tough to sit through. I mean, the whole central topic is suicide, which is one of the most touchy subjects I feel like on earth. It's something very dear to me, something that I've struggled with, but it's definitely a topic that is just, I've dealt with suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. So it's a very tough subject, and I feel like they did the topic justice.
I was gonna say, it hits a lot of people close to home.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the critiques that the show has had is just from people who have either not actually watched it or have just seen the suicide scene, or they don't really understand, I think. And maybe that's a little bit unfair for me to just put them into those 2 camps, but I thought it has a great message behind behind it of the way that you treat people. All these little things, all these interactions that we have with each other, just be kind to people, because you don't know how sensitive some people are, how they'll take certain things, or where they are in their lives. You might be that straw that breaks the camel's back.
Just that idea, yeah, because like you don't know what someone's going through, and that one mean throwaway comment that to you means nothing, to them, like
it could mean the world to them.
You're destroying their world. You know? So that's
And it's one of those.
And I know that sounds dramatic, but I mean that's the point. Like we're trying to kind of get the point's trying to get across. Like don't just like if it's not worth the joke, don't say it.
I think it was one of the most eye-opening just pieces of just media that I've seen, because it's one of the few that opened my eyes and kind of changed my perspective a little bit, because I was very used to just being very harsh. Typically when I was growing up, I was just very harsh and raw and just like said whatever. And I'm not saying I've completely changed, but it helped me like hold back a little bit and just kind of realize, what I'm saying like really does affect people. I mean, what people say to me really affects me. I know we're getting like a little serious, but that was like just really good.
I mean, I was gonna say that show covered like real topics, so it makes sense if you talk about it, you get a little real. That's fine. I don't think anyone's gonna be too bummed out about it. It's not like you're spreading the message of love right now. You're not. You're
Let me just say, I cried like a little baby, and I think this is a show everyone should watch, because it'll help you like understand that perspective, or like people who struggle with that. Anyway,
it's hard to watch, but
it's very hard to watch.
For me, okay. Another highlight for me this year, going from something super serious to something that maybe some people will think is very childish. The anime Dragon Ball Super. It's been going on this year, and I've been following it, and it's had some moments where I think it could have been better, but for the most part, it hasn't disappointed. And I'm there's a new episode that's dropping. I think it's dropping in like 2 hours from now.
I'm assuming you're going to watch that straight away.
Episode 123. Yeah, no, after this, I'm going to go get lunch and then go home and watch it on, because my friend just got me a Chromecast for Christmas, so I'm going to throw it up on the TV and watch it on the HD TV. Yes, HD. I don't have a 4K TV. Whatever.
Too bad you can't play those 4K remasters.
Oh, I know.
Right?
It sucks. Well, because I was at work, and when I worked at Toys R Us, a coworker was like talking about his 4K TV or whatever, and I was like, oh, I don't have a 4K TV, and he's like, he said it as a joke, but he was just like, oh, peasant. I'm like, do people who have 4K really think that way? And he's like, yeah, some people do. I'm like, that's stupid. That's really dumb. That's like people who own a PC. It's like destroy the consoles and help us propagate the master race. It's so dumb.
It's like, it's entertainment. Calm down.
Yeah, it's like I'm entertained. Shut your face. But yes, Dragon Ball Super. It is a shonen fighting anime. It's never tried to be more than that. It knows what it's trying to be. It's built on these characters that I grew up watching and falling in love with since I was in middle school. Or elementary school, even going even further back than that, and just seeing where the characters are from where they started. And it's
same creator, right?
Yeah, Akira Toriyama. Yeah, he is the mastermind behind all of it. I love him to death. And he is, so he created this awesome story with these awesome characters. And I think what's mostly kept me around is just the nostalgia factor for me. Like, I can still watch this and feel nostalgia, because it still reminds me so much of coming home from school and watching the show before I do my
But at the same time, it's still good.
It's still good. It still has its great moments, and there's the characters that are from now up until then are still breaking their limits and becoming stronger, and it's inspiring almost. It's really cool. So I know that sounds ridiculous. I'm inspired by a drawing on a screen.
It's a thing.
Whatever. I don't care.
Art is awesome. So this last show from 2017, so it got a lot of hype. It got a lot of awards. It was just the talk of the TV criticism and just community. The Handmaid's Tale. So it is probably just one of the...
I'm going to be honest, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people haven't heard of it. So it is based on a book, I believe by Margaret Atwood is the name of the author. It is a very...
I wouldn't be surprised if Lada has read that.
Yeah, she probably has. So basically it is a dystopian future where women can't have children anymore. So the human race is dying. And it's very touchy topic again, and it's very dark, and it's very tough to talk about just because of what it is. Basically, it is about women that can have children, very few women that can have children, being put into like sexual subjugation, where there's like this cult basically make the women have children for these people.
I take that back. This doesn't sound like something she'd be interested in reading.
I mean, she's like a pretty big feminist, right? So
yeah, but I don't know.
It makes a lot of like social critiques and stuff, but it's.
I'm sure it does, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I'll find out after she listens to this, and then she'll tell me. I'm sure.
But despite like the really just like sketchy and weird just like subject matter, it is one of the best just pieces of maybe film I would say that I've seen. Just the way it's done and handled, and the cinematography and everything about it is just top. And they're gonna make a second season, so the first season just covers what is in the book. So they're going beyond.
It's like established. It's just basically like setting up the world, basically, and kind of like world building.
Kind of, but it covers everything that's in the book.
Oh, okay.
So the second season is going to go beyond the book.
Well, that worries me a little bit, just because the moment they go beyond the book, they start doing something.
Yeah, so that
maybe the author wouldn't have done. Is the author directing that, or like?
I don't believe so. So this is done apart from the author, but it's just so good that I don't think they can screw it up with the next season, just because everyone involved with it just knows what they're doing. I feel like I was just like very skeptical when I heard people saying, "Oh, this is like one of the best TV shows," and like needs to win all these awards, but it is actually really, really good. Not for everyone. Definitely not for everyone.
It doesn't sound like it.
No.
Where can I find that?
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Going into video games. What were some video game highlights for you, Senor?
All right, so first off, Zelda. That started off the year.
Breath of the Wild?
Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I heard that was amazing.
Zelda has been doing what has worked for it for a few, I guess more than a decade. Zelda's kind of been doing the same thing for a while because it just works and it's good, and that's not bad. But Breath of the Wild says, you know what, let's do something completely different.
Right, yeah.
While kind of still being Zelda, but it was a huge breath of fresh air for the franchise. And
I was literally thinking the same joke.
Yeah.
It's like, would you say it's a breath of fresh air? Ah, kill me.
Would you say it's a breath of the what? Wait, that doesn't work.
Breath of the what?
So basically, Zelda has learned from a lot of games and decided to be open world. And this is one of the few
Or the
truly
first, like, real kind of open world thing. Because, I mean, I know back in, like, the handheld game world, A Link Between Worlds was kind of like an open world thing.
Link to the Past.
Link to the Past, yeah.
The original Zelda, you could basically go anywhere.
Right.
But it was 2D and it was like...
Yeah, but I was going to say, in the A Link to the Past, and also I think there's a...
Link Between Worlds is a 3DS, like...
Yeah, the 3DS.
Sequel.
That's kind of... It's like the same, like, aesthetic world as The Link to the Past.
Yes.
Technically is an open world game, but it still has kind of like a scripted path for you to take. And even Ocarina of Time was technically an open world game, but it had set points and set things for you to do. You just had to go through this giant world.
So they have like maybe a 1 or 2 hour just opening where they give you the essentials. Yeah, and then you could just do anything you want. You could go straight to the boss and try to beat him.
Yep.
Which is
unheard of.
It's unheard of. It's stupidly unheard of, but it works. You have so much freedom in that, and you'll spend hours just goofing around, and you'll have so much fun. But there is some story, but the point of this game, I feel like, is to have fun and explore and just.
This is like I think this is the first time there's an open world game where the story is like the secondary function of the game. Like. It's like, yeah, go and explore. Also, there's a story. You could check that out if you want.
I mean, you'll get around to it, but no, it's
but you
so
can,
much
like,
fun. You could go anywhere.
You can cook apples.
You could cook apples with jalapenos and just like eat them, or peppers. I just you could cook this unidentified food that is just like blurred pixels because it's just like poison or whatever.
Yeah, it's just a mixture.
But
of
this
peppers, apples, and meat
and a crab.
Yeah, exactly.
And why not just like a piece of metal? Because why not? But yeah, this game is just so much fun.
I really, really wanted to get into The Witcher 3. I had never played it beforehand. I played it like just snuck into 2017. I started playing it in like November and December. Like it just snuck in. I just started playing it. From what I played it for a little bit, and it's definitely a fun game, and how it just how it looks really good, and the story. The thing that's interesting is the story. I feel like there's some things I missed because this is the third one. There are 2 games that came before this, and I've been trying to look on where to find them, but apparently they're just PC games. And I don't have a PC. Like I don't know much about the story and the characters that they're referencing and all that stuff. And there's like characters with a lot of clear history, and it's clear that some decisions could have been made that maybe I wouldn't have made, and maybe things would be different. So that's kind of what I'm picking up on, and I guess that's kind of what's making me not necessarily
just kind of a disconnect.
I'm just kind of feel a little disconnected from it. I mean, the gameplay's still fun, and I've enjoyed it. Like I throw it back on every now and again. But Witcher 3, that was a fun game, and I enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, I played through all of that. I think in 2016, but if you...
Yes, it came out a while ago. I was really late to the party.
Well, actually it came out in 2015.
Still, proving my point.
But a lot of people say it's one of the best video games out there. Like, it explains enough of the past games where it's fine, but there's definitely a lot of history, like you said, that is left to the other two games.
It definitely explains, like, the world you're in and why certain people can use magic and why some people can't. And I'm still learning a lot about the characters, like the Witchers, like the character. I'm still learning a lot about them that that wasn't explained in the beginning, and I'm learning a lot about these characters as I go through, and they kind of throw things out there just as a side, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like apparently, like Witchers can't feel emotion. They lost all of their emotion, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
They also can't procreate,
and they also can't make babies. That is also correct. So I'm like, that's interesting.
They're based, I believe, on a Swedish novel series, but it's definitely a great game.
Based on a book,
yeah.
So that's at least one new game that I was very late to the party on, but our friend Justice played through it and he loved it a lot. So he kind of kept nudging my ribs, kind of like, hey, you should try this. You should try this. And finally I was just like, fine, I'll freaking try it.
It's a long game, but it's definitely worth it.
It is a very long game, yeah.
So Horizon Zero Dawn was one of the highlights for me this year in the video game world. You are a girl named Aloy who shoots arrows at robotic dinosaurs.
Yes.
In a post-apocalyptic world.
And I realize, out of context, that sounds insane. It doesn't make too much more sense in context.
I mean, no. It works, and it's a lot of fun. It took me a while to get through it just because I put it down a few times, but then I really focused on it.
It's a very large game.
It's a large game, yes. And it's another open world game. It has a surprisingly good story, and like it came out with a DLC expansion at the end of the year.
The Frozen Wilds?
Yeah. Which I started. I haven't finished yet, but it's more Horizon, and it's great.
There's more Horizon, and let me guess, is there snow?
There's a lot of snow.
How did I guess that?
Probably the Wilds part of the name, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Frozen.
Frozen, maybe.
No.
Would you say that the cold bothers her at all?
Goodness, I want to edit that out, but I'm gonna leave it in. Oh my gosh, give me a game. Give me a game, Evan.
A game. Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yes.
Is a game when it was announced back in 2016, and when it came out in the summer of 2017, I believe. I was super pumped for it. It looked amazing. It was this great, like, create your own. Basically, you're part of this. When you're offline, you're part of this 4-team squad. You can play up to 4 people online together in this story mode where you're this like special ops like Navy SEAL team, and you're going down to South America and you're trying to take down this drug cartel called the Santa Blanca cartel. The map is gigantic. You can spend hours doing a bunch of side missions and not even do a single story mission and still feel accomplished.
Now add friends that you can play with.
Yeah, please. It's fun. It's fun playing offline. It's the best playing with friends. It is like the best experience playing with friends, because before I was playing through it, I was like leveling up and doing just a lot of side mission stuff just offline. Then my friend Justice got it and we played together. Then Tom got it and then the 3 of us played it. And then Doug got a PS4 and he started playing it. And then you got it, and then we've all played it with a bunch of different of my friends. Oh, it's a blast! It's such a fun game, and then they even have like kind of like a lobby mode where you can play like 4v4. It's called Ghost Wars.
Oh yeah,
and
I saw that.
That game mode's fun. There's different classes that you can pick from, and it's basically like if you've ever done like a Call of Duty multiplayer online PvP match. It is like Call of Duty but better. Like the online PvP is way better. It kind of forces you to use guns that you wouldn't normally use, like in the classes. Like it gives you the class and then like what guns you can use for that class. And without going into too much detail, I know I'm about to ramble on for another hour. It's a really fun game, and offline it's great. With friends, online it's the best. and it's just an awesome game. You can spend literally hours doing a bunch of side missions and laughing and having a fun time. So it is a great time.
I'll let you take one more game so I can get to the last game on my list last, because I really want to do this last, if that's fine.
That's fine. And just so happens, I have one more game on my list as well. So
similar, right?
The last game I have, yes, it's The Division.
The Division.
It's made by the same company, and it's different when it comes to it takes place in New York, and it's not what I thought it was, or at least so far it isn't. Like in the main story, it isn't. I thought The Division was kind of like this like militia fighting back against like this kind of tyrannical government. That's what I thought it was at first.
What is it actually?
It's more of like, I mean, it's still kind of like a militia thing, but it's like a secret. I don't even want to say secret, because I mean people know who they are, but basically you have like this watch that like lights up orange, and it's basically like the Division's bat signal. So there's like Division agents, and they can be anybody, you know, they could be me, they could be you, and if the sector you're in needs like help, you're like the on-call militia, basically. That's what the Division is. It's this kind of guerrilla warfare kind of thing where now, and in this point of the story, there's like this sickness that's broken out and the government's not helping. So the Division is kind of like is I guess now, like I'm sure if you get more into the story, it turns more into like the Division rebelling against the government and trying to help its people. They become the militia. It's basically what every like right wing NRA person dreams of, basically. So that is
and it's also multiplayer.
It's also online multiplayer. It's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, so the last game on my list is Hellblade.
I remember you talking about this. You were like really excited about it.
Yeah. So again, I know some of the stuff I picked is like serious stuff, but this is another like very serious game. It's still fun though, but it's terrifying. But it's also really emotional. It's all these things. It is about a 6-hour long game with AAA production values, but it wants to say it's indie for some reason. I don't know. It's made by Ninja Theory. They have made Heavenly Sword, and they made like the reboot to Devil May Cry. Anyway, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It deals with this mental illness called psychosis, where people see hallucinations. There we go, I got the word. And they experience a lot of things apart from reality, and they deal a lot with depression and anxiety and stuff like that, but it's through the lens of Norse mythology. So it's a very gritty, combat-based game that also has puzzles. Right. And I saw like a documentary after I had played the game, and it actually seems to be pretty accurate to what the person experiences, like that has that. But it was it almost feels like a partial horror game, but it's with
the psychoactive, like with the psychoactive elements to it.
It has it plays a lot with your mind a lot, and it's almost traumatic. But it does a great job, I think, of showing you what the person actually experiences while still being an action game and still telling a great story, actually. It's like a love story, but not in the way that you would expect. And it's just a really interesting experience to go through. It's a lot of like bad things, but I think I really enjoyed going through it as much as you'd think I wouldn't enjoy it. Like it has solid gameplay, but I was much more interested in the story, which is really well told.
Yeah.
I won't go too much into it because it's a short game, but 2017, I thought, for art and entertainment in general, was just fantastic. And there was a lot of things that I didn't even get to experience, which I would have liked to. But what do you think, Evan?
I think it's crazy because like this last year, 2017, like video games and movies and everything like really like hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, like it was a great year to be like a nerdy fan for all of these things. It was a great year.
There was kind of something for everyone.
Yeah, I feel like there was at least one or two things that definitely like you were happy with. You know what I mean? And I enjoyed it, and I thought it was great. And what's awesome is that there's a lot of things to look forward to in this year already. Like there's so many movies that are coming out. Dragon Ball FighterZ is coming out this month. There's still a lot of things coming out this year that, God willing, we're still doing this at the end of this year. Yeah. So like all the things that we've already talked about will be in our review for 2018 review next year. So I think it's awesome, and I don't necessarily think that these are things that we're reviewing because we're leaving them in the past. I think these are things that are still going to continue to have a fan base moving forward, and I think it's just they're going to be able to stand side by side with a lot of things that are coming up this year, and I think that's the exciting part that we get to look forward to.
Very well put. I agree with all of that. I'm also very excited to see all the stuff that comes out this year, and I think that a lot of the entertainment I enjoy the most is like very impactful and art-like.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of just fun stuff and upbeat stuff that is just great. Entertainment in general is really matured and like is able to deal with a lot of topics that are very important, I think, to human beings in general, which is pretty cool.
You said entertainment has matured, but then we have that one like
What?
poop stain of a movie that got announced.
The Emoji Movie?
No, that Teen Titans Go movie.
Oh yeah, that's
because that's mature content, right?
as much as it's matured, it's also taken a lot of steps back. Teen Titans is like Teen Titans Go. I can't believe we're ending with this, but Teen Titans Go is mindless fun, and it's an abomination to Teen Titans.
It is. That's why I hate it.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes and
Okay.
I love it, but it's horrible. It should not exist, honestly.
Okay. With that being said, ending it on a great note. Thank you guys all so much for listening. Hope 2018 is a great year, and we'll see you